Hey, it is Nate, and we are less than a month away from the release of my first book, The Memory Palace, True Short Stories of the Past from Random House, on November 19th. And this is a collection of stories, some if you are a longtime listener to the show that you might know, others that are brand new and will only appear in this beautiful book. And it is beautiful. I'm really proud of it. I could not be more pleased with the way it all came together with illustrations and found photographs and a really gorgeous cover. I want it to feel like a cabinet of wonders, this beautiful object that you could pick up and flip to any page and just be drawn in. But in order for that to happen, in order for people who might love this book to find this book, I need your help today. Pre-ordering this book. That means going on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com or bookshop.org or calling your local bookstore or popping in and talking to that cute nerd who works behind the counter and ordering The Memory Palace by Nate DeMeo. Lets those retailers know to carry the book. It lets the few magazines and newspapers who still review books that this is a book that is worth reviewing. It helps editors put this book that is designed in part to be shared, to put it on gift guides for the holiday season. It helps my publisher, encourages them to keep hustling to make this thing a success. And I think it can be when it comes out. But that hope, that swing that we're going to take, that first step to making it a success, starts with listeners like you. So if you like this show, you're going to like this book, and you will be helping me out and it out tremendously. You will be helping build an audience one book at a time, one reader at a time. And it has been incredibly gratifying hearing from people who have pre-ordered, who have reached out to say, I called my local bookstore and they said they were going to order 6, but a couple people had called to pre-order and now they are going to order 20. And that's real. That happened at a bookstore in California. And that is all thanks to folks like you who are helping this book by pre-ordering today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the story. This is The Memory Palace. I'm Nate DeMeo. The babies wore white, some in bonnets, all in dresses, boys and girls, as was the style in 1908. Cool cotton for summer. It is hot in Louisiana when the state fair comes around. The babies toddled and cooed, sat upright. Some had just learned to do that. Slapped their hands down in delight in that way that babies do when they're still not quite sure what the things at the ends of their pudgy little wrists are for. When they don't yet have the words to say, my mom makes me happy, or wait, where'd my dad's face go? It was gone, and then here it is again. The babies were, according to the rules, between 6 and 24 months old. The nurses also wore white, crisp collars and caps, as they dutifully measured those sweet pudgy wrists, made notes about their smiles, the space between their eyes, the circumference of their torsos, the relative strength of their grips. The trophies awarded that day in the nation's first Better Baby contest were silver. There is a photo labeled 1908 prize winner of a girl who appears to be about 2, wearing a white gown and a white graduation mortarboard cap. And what looks to me, and I'm sure I'm projecting here, and am swayed by the title and the supposed authority of the contest governing body, she wears what looks like a self-satisfied smile. She is adorable. One could believe that she is at the very least a better baby than most. The contest was the brainchild of a woman named Mary DeGarmo. She was a mother of 2 and very active in her community. She founded the Girls Training School for Neglected Children in Shreveport and organized something called the Mothers Union there in 1890. It was a club for women to share tips about child rearing, hear the occasional lecture from doctors and nutritionists and the 19th century equivalent of child psychologists. And it seems that she was very proud of that work and was pleased with the role she played in helping the children of her peers, the well-to-do wives of northwestern Louisiana, thrive. She wanted to figure out a way to spread the same kinds of basic information about children's health and child-rearing best practices to people beyond her social strata. And she also wanted to help with a problem. She had learned from all her conversations over the years with pediatricians and other medical experts that there was, at that time, a real need for statistical data about human development. And so Mary DeGarmo came up with a way to gather it. Every year, thousands of people from most of your walks of life came, as they still do, to the Louisiana State Fair, to stroll the Midway, to eat fried things that aren't usually fried, play some games, and see some newfangled gadgets. And of course, one of the main attractions and functions of a state fair is to display and judge livestock. to determine which among the cows and sheep and chickens are worthy of ribbons. And thanks to Mary DeGarmo, in 1908, the farm animals were joined by human animals. The Better Baby contest was a hit. Proud parents were excited, the kids were cute, the crowds loved it. Mary DeGarmo was, by all accounts, delighted. The event had helped distribute important basic health information and gather important data. It had also judged children as though they were livestock, as though the worth of a child, what would make one baby better than another, was somehow linked to the circumference of a wrist, the width of a back when measured from shoulder to shoulder. And there is value in data. It is useful to know when children can typically sit up on their own or speak, manipulate small objects. But what did the judges of the contest value? Physical attributes that would dismiss the disabled, others that were associated with whiteness. Not that non-white kids were allowed to participate in the Better Baby contest. And let's remember that this is barely half a lifetime since human beings were regularly judged and bought and sold like livestock in Louisiana. And what bearing does any of the categories used to judge the relative quality of these children have on the people they might turn out to be? Mary DeGarmo's Better Baby contest was seized upon by a national magazine, the Women's Home Companion, which encouraged women's groups around the country to sponsor their own contests. Before long, the magazine's publishers had formed the Better Babies Bureau and developed a highly detailed set of standardized scoring criteria. In 1914, as the contests were picking up steam around the country, the Women's Home Companion wrote of the contests that underneath the inviting charm of the idea is a serious scientific purpose. Healthy babies, standardized babies, and always, year after year, better babies. And if a phrase like standardized babies, and the implied steady march toward some sort of perfection among the baby population, gives you pause, then 5 out of 5 points on the place in the scorecard that charts your ability to spot eugenics. For what started as a clever way to fill a real need and spread and gather useful information became enlisted in a growing movement that sought to eliminate so-called undesirable traits from the human race by breeding them out, including many traits that are not at all genetic, like poverty and criminality and illiteracy. In the teens and 20s and 30s, the movement targeted people with disabilities, cognitive differences, or who were simply immigrants, or Native Americans, or not white. And during that period, after a handful of years of relative innocence, the Better Babies contest grew more sinister. By the 1920s, babies and eventually whole families were judged by criteria that included their parentage, their stock. And what was fun was now explicitly eugenicist, with the educational components of the events focused less on critical lessons about nutrition or hygiene, and more on spreading false ideas about the gene pool, all while those same ideas were taking hold in Hitler's Germany. The babies were cute, but you can never tell how they'll grow.